We've all heard it. Fix your mindset. Your brain is working against you. Your brain is your worst enemy. You need to control it. You need to learn how to manipulate your mind. Your mind is your enemy. But what if that's not the complete picture? What if your brain is both? What if your brain is both brilliant and biased? What if, like a chef's knife, your brain creates masterpieces, but can also be used as a dangerous weapon, whether that's accidentally chopping your finger off or even to the extent of having the ability to murder someone. And for that reason, I seek to show you how it's both brilliant and biased. In this video, we're going to have 4 parts. First, we're going to talk about how the current mindset, self-improvement space around brains is a little lopsided. Then I'm going to show you why duality is the truth. And then we're going to see 3 superpowers that your brain has that perhaps you never paid attention to or complimented your brain for. And lastly, we're going to end with some tactics that you can apply in real time to work with your brain, to make your brain your best friend, to complement its superpowers and activate and enhance it rather than fight against it. So with that being said, let's get into episode 6 of The Luxury of Discipline, a series about how discipline is actually your greatest luxury in life if you learn how to unlock it. We see discipline as devotion. We are here to unlearn anything we thought about discipline before, and it's time, just like our minds, to make it our best friend. Part 1. The mindset space is lopsided. Have you ever heard that famous sentiment that says the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions that you ask? If you haven't, just let that soak in, because I think it applies here. The mindset personal development space often focuses on questions of why is my mind so behind? Why is my mind not working in my favor? Why is my mind my enemy? Instead of asking, what is my mind's superpowers? How can I enhance its innate features to grow, to improve, to work with it? Just like an untrained teammate, your brain has been conditioned to act and behave a certain way. And instead of focusing on what it can't do or what it's not doing, why don't we focus on what it can do and what it can be doing? Just like when training a dog, they say praise it for what it does well rather than punishing it for what it gets wrong. Because what we reward, we reinforce. So with that, the question becomes part 2, why is duality the answer? Duality is 2 truths can be true at the same time. The brain is brilliant and the brain is biased. So we have focused a lot on how the brain is biased in the space, but what if we focused on its brilliance? What if we learned some of its superpowers so that we can tap into them more, so that we can strengthen them, so that we can enhance them, just like training a teammate, just like going to the gym. Go to the gym to work our body. What if we did the same for our mind by focusing on what we can do and celebrating the wins rather than focusing on how it's not winning? In essence, we are focused on what's wrong with the brain so much, which is fair. But it's time to balance the scale and also focus on what's right and how we can enhance what's already right within our brain. Which leads me to part 3. Here are 3 magical superpowers that the brain has already innate running in real time that you perhaps have not paid attention to. Number 1 is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is incredible because our brain has the ability to literally restructure, rewire itself, change the actual hardware simply by what we focus on, what we practice, and what we repeat. That becomes the pathways in our brain. That becomes the threads that weave together the blouse. That becomes the pathways that connect the roads. We literally have the ability to simply change what we focus on, what we practice, and what we repeat to then start restructuring and rewiring our brain. And this does it naturally. Our brain is not fixed, and that is the biggest blessing possible, biggest blessing imaginable, because we actually can change. Our brain is not permanent. It is only set in permanence by what we repeat. If you repeat the same thoughts, the same stories, the same imaginations, this is just going down the same path, the same road over and over again. But if you start to repeat new thoughts, if you start to repeat new imaginations, if you start to repeat new ways of speaking, of behaving, this then slowly starts to create new pathways. And then eventually this old road disappears and the brain strengthens this route that you've worked to focus on, practice, and repeat. That's superpower example number 1. And superpower example number 2 is the ability to imagine. Did you know that there's no other species on this planet that does this as well as we can? We can literally mentally time travel. Do you know how spectacular that is? No other species does it as well as us. We can mentally time travel to the past and imagine and romanticize what it used to be like. I particularly like to do this when imagining just 1950s glamour and luxury and music and architecture and fashion, all of it. I romanticize and I imagine. But we can also future project. We can imagine flying cars and we can imagine robots. And this particular ability doesn't only apply to society at large, but we can also do this for ourselves. We can reflect on our childhood and our memories. We can replay scenes, or we can project forward and think about our future self and imagine a life that we want. And this ability is distinctly unique to us humans, and it's our mind. It's a superpower that just happens because it allows us to plan and strategize and project and alter and change our life very consciously, very proactively. We have that sense of agency that is like no other species on this planet. Third, last but not least, example of our brain's superpower is our autonomic nervous system regulation. Your brain is literally right now signaling for you to breathe in oxygen and out carbon dioxide. Your brain is making sure your heart beats. Your brain is making sure that perhaps your digestion system, whether it's your breakfast or your dinner, is currently digesting. If you got a scratch on your arm, your brain is literally helping control the wound healing process. Your brain is doing all of these things to regulate your body without asking for permission, without asking for praise. It just happens automatically. You wake up, boom, you get about your day, but you never take a minute to think, wow, I cannot believe I woke up, opened my eyes, could take a breath. Your brain is literally doing that for you. And I think we very easily don't appreciate the things that just automatically happen without us consciously putting in effort. Yet the brain, this is its superpower. This is it doing it for you. Those are merely 3 examples, tiny 3 examples. But if you can just think about that, think about our ability to rewire and restructure our brain, that it is not fixed, that it can be molded. This is magical. This is a gift. The fact that we can mentally time travel. How epic. And the fact that your brain is keeping you alive without you even lifting a finger is something to celebrate. So now that we have a little idea of a few of the superpowers, how can we actually translate that in our day-to-day life to work on focusing on enhancing what's already right rather than condemning our brain for its mishaps? 2 ways you can do this. Number 1, celebrate your micro wins. For example, if you stick to the bedtime that you wanted to and you're in bed, just as you said, maybe 5 to 10 minute buffer, tell your brain, well done, we did it, thank you, brain. If you remember something that you told yourself you wanted to remember and then you do actually remember, let's say milk at the supermarket, say, good job, brain, yes, thank you. Thank your brain for what it does. And I know this might seem silly, but I promise you, it kind of is fun. Once you start playing this game of positive mental chatter and almost mentally high-fiving yourself, your brain literally feels that reward, hears that reward, and will keep doing the good behavior that you want it to, the good pathways that you want it to. Those are just small examples, but whatever it is, if you do something that you wanted to do, if you stick to something that you wanted to stick to, if you feel good about a conversation once you leave it, just take microseconds in your head and say, thank you for asking those inquisitive questions. Thank you for listening carefully. Thank you, brain. Thank you. Let's keep it up. So that's tactic number 1, celebrate your micro wins. Tactic number 2, reframe negative self-talk with compassion. Let's say you don't stick to the healthier food choice that you wanted to. Instead of saying, you suck, I'll never ever be able to change, I'm just a failure, Instead of doing that, instead of being your own worst enemy, speak to yourself like you are your best friend. Tell yourself, okay, I didn't do it this time, but guess what? I'm one step closer. Every time I pay attention, every time I recognize, I'm getting stronger. And there's always next time. Next time, I give myself the freedom to try again. I grant myself the permission to keep going because I can. It takes baby step after baby step, and eventually I'll get it. We can do this. It's okay. I love you. You're doing amazing, and you're gonna keep doing better. By doing this, you shift your brain from self-blame to self-leadership. It is important to understand that compassion is not weakness. Compassion is stability. Compassion is rewiring those pathways in your brain, is reinforcing the better pathway, is saying, it's okay. We skirted down the old pathway there for a little bit. Every time, we're just going to start the car and go again. Start the car, go again. You can always go again. Nothing is fixed, only if you tell yourself it is. So with those 2 tactics of celebrating your wins, congratulating yourself, saying good job, and also catching yourself when you're being your own worst critic, when you're blaming yourself, when you're feeling disgusted with yourself, and change that narrative into compassion and support, being able to address that, hey, we did not do what we said we wanted to do this time, but we are learning step by step. Every step, even if we fall, doesn't mean we can't get up and put one foot in front of the other again. And that is how we reclaim our mind as our ally, as our best friend, as our greatest superpower. Your mind is not the problem, it is programmable. Start asking the right questions, and the quality of your life will drastically improve. Let's balance the scale, and instead of always focusing on what's wrong, let's add in some nuance and focus on what's right, because duality is the answer. It is both biased and it is brilliant, and it is making sure we pay attention to both sides so that we can unlock our true greatest potential and the superpower that is our mind. That concludes episode 6 of The Luxury of Discipline. I cannot wait to see you in the next one, and make sure to comment perhaps an encouraging thought to one of your fellow humans out there for how they can keep going and keep trying and putting one foot in front of the other, because we are a community of absolute elite bad asses who are making it happen in real time. We are all works in progress, and that is so exciting because we are always evolving. See you next time. Thank you for being here, and keep going.